Hey YouTube, it is season turnover today, so remember those star pieces when the season turns over, whatever time that is for you. And with it, we got a new meta, and there are two cups, two great, like a Great League and a Sunshine Cup. I think most people will play Great League. And the first week, I would say, is don't care about, in my opinion, don't care about your win losses at an early stage. I personally, for me, I've always found that the first week is to figure out how these new moves feel. So as you can see, a lot of new rankings here. If you want the full ranking analysis, I did not all 100, but I kind of looked at the top 100 Pokemon on a full rankings list yesterday. If you want to check that out, I'm going to quickly go over this because it is truly some meta stay meta. Some typings got real buffed and they're going to be everywhere. And I think those that got buffed are now overranked. And I'll explain what I mean. And a subscriber commented on it perfectly yesterday. So as you can see, there is what was the meta last season. And then a bunch of bug type fast moves here. So what was meta last season? Clodsire is at number 1 here. Corviknight's at number 3. Dusclops is at number 4. Corsola is at number 5. Jumpluff is at number 7. Jellicent was a little lower ranked, but it was like a top 25 anyway. So Jellicent's at 11. Mandibuzz at 12. Diggersby 13. Lapras at 14. Steelix is at 17. It was probably at like 30-ish last year. And Dusknoir at 18. And those were all basic, and Stunfisk was like borderline 30 anyways. So those were all Pokemon that were around last season in the top like 20 to 30 anyways. Most of them have like Clodsire, Dusclops, Corsola, Jumpluff, all have Mandibuzz, Diggersby, all have fantastic stat products for the GBL, which is your low attack, high defense and stamina, which is always fantastic in GBL with great moves, right? Most of them are spammy, getting to some moves in 14 or 15 here for the most part. So lots of spam, lots of bulk, and just general good coverage for the meta. So that is why they are all top meta Pokemon last season. That's why they are all top meta Pokemon this season. What has changed is Bug Bite and Fury Cutter. So these are two bug moves that got very, very buffed. So Bug Bite on Fortress is now number 2. Glyopod on Fury Cutter is 6. Fury Cutter on Gliggar 8. Fury Cutter on Samurott 9. Fury Cutter on Matang 15 here. So as you can see, a lot of these Pokemon just got are just absolutely risen to the top because of their buff. So we're gonna test them out. These are some good moves. They're like what one? Fury Cutter is a Psywave clone. So you know how strong Psywave is. So now when you get a Psywave move like a Glyopod with Fury Cutter, that's the same type of attack bonus. You're basically getting stab Psywave. Right, so it is a great move in itself with the spammy X-Scissors Aqua Jets, right? So it makes sense why, in theory, that these have risen up. I would like to point out what Nate said yesterday, and I hope I pronounced their name right. They said, those bug moves may have good numbers, but bug is resisted by fire, flying, fighting, poison, ghost, steel, and fairy, making it the worst offensive typing in the game. Add to that grass, dark, and psychic all went down, and we could end up with a meta where bug has little to no targets. I mean, you can easily build a whole team exclusively using these 7 resisted typings and be good. And that's a spot-on analysis. I should put you in this video instead of myself, because that is a perfect analysis. Yesterday in my video, I said, because bug just got absolutely buffed, and now you're seeing all these bug Pokemon in the top 20, like Pokemon like Malamar are now down into like the 60-70 lower range, because now Malamar takes double super effective to bug, and all these Pokemon are running bug type fast moves. And then you have your Psychic Pokemon, and Psychic was already a bad typing, right? Because Psychic was weak to Dark and Ghost, which was everywhere in the meta, and now you add on bug typing, which lowers it even more. So now you have, like, again, there are 2 of those typings that bug does great against that are now not even going to, maybe not even be in the meta. One thing I will say that Nate correctly argues, like, you can just run a ghost Pokemon in Corsola, run a steel Pokemon in Tinkaton, run a poison type Pokemon in Clodsire, and you essentially have all these bugs locked down. And that is true. What is not looking at the other direction is what bug actually resists. And one thing that does not resist bug, but bug does resist, is ground. And there is a lot of ground in this meta, right? You're going to see right now on a couple of my teams, I have Marowak as a safe swap, because Marowak was a fantastic safe swap. So you're going to see it on a couple teams where if the meta is truly bug, ground won't have as much play as it did in previous seasons. So the first week is for me a time to test these new moves, feel these Pokemon out, feel how they play, and then on Monday I'll probably do like a 1 weekend, what I think is overranked, underranked, and a meta analysis. My guess is some of these Pokemon will continue to have play. I think there's going to be a reorg in the meta here. I can see a couple of these Pokemon going down in the rankings that have these like moves. Like Samurott is probably one that, in my opinion, will probably go down. Fortress seems pretty high too as well. Glyopod's an interesting one because Fairy Cutter, Whisk Stab is a good move, and Aqua Jet, X Scizor are like very, very spammy at 10. So I think it can probably stay around, whether it stays at 6 or hovers around like 10 to 15. I still think it's a top 20 Pokemon, probably Glyopod. It was already borderline last season. And Gligar I think because flying was so limited last season, right? You had Jumpluff and Mandibuzz and then Talonflame. Some people use Galarian Moltres, but those are like mostly the 3 flyers that everyone used. I think because of that, we had a lot of a good amount of fighters, a decent amount of grass, and I think Gligar has a lot of play with the Fairy Cutter and then getting to dig in 13, so you have the coverage for flying and steel there. Like, sorry, you have a flying type move and a ground type move, and ground can deal with the steel, and rock, and flying can deal with your grass and all these bugs that are out here now. So I think Gligar is going to have a lot of play. So I still think a lot of these will have play, whether we see the top 20 the way like this is again after a week, we'll see. But let's look at some teams. So what I always do is I just build with the new Pokemon. So I started with Glyopod. Now Glyopod, as you can see in the Sims here, is not amazing versus the top 20. Again, there's a lot of things on this list that are going to resist the bug type fast move. Bug Steel, Ghost, Dark, no, that's Dark Flying, so that neutralizes it. Ghost and Jellicent. So there's a lot of things on here, Fairy and Dedenne. There's a lot of things on here that will resist the bug type fast move. You can see that I have it in the first position, but I have it in the middle of my screen here. I think that it is going to still be a fantastic safe swap. I think that with the spam it has, with the Aqua Jets and X Scizor coming at you at a speed of 10, is going to be great. Now, one of the hardest answers to this could be Jellicent, right? I wonder if they have Jellicent as an answer on this list here. I do not see. Oh yeah, it is here. So it's just a loss to Glyopod. So even a Jellicent is not like a filled-in circle here. So just for those of you who are very, very new to this, a filled-in circle means you are going to get absolutely destroyed. A small circle means you're going to lose, but it's going to be okay. And a small X means you win, and a big X means you really win. At least that's how it reads. So, for example, Dedenne is on this team. A big X against Mandibuzz because you are Fairy Electric. You're just going to absolutely destroy Mandibuzz. But you will... Dedenne is going to get beat by Gligar because Gligar has that dig, which will one-shot the Dedenne where the ground double resists, so it's a net single resist on Glygar. So even against something like Jellicent, where bug is resisted on the ghost and water is resisted on the water, you're still only just losing. And I think that's going to be Glyopod in a nutshell. I think that Glyopod is going to turn into a fantastic safe swap. I can see people using it. I do have Drapion as a safe swap on this list, but I can see Glyopod essentially being the new Drapion. So that is my guess with how Glyopod's going to play. So then you just kind of have 2 other Pokemon that can kind of cover each other's weaknesses, get some bulk, get some coverage on some weaknesses. Glyopod is going to be weak to flying, so I wanted to cover the flying weakness. Dedenne did get buffed, so I wanted to just test out, and Dedenne's got buffed with the Parabolic Shock or Charge. So one of the 2. So I want to test that out, so I put that on the team. And then I'm like, okay, if I'm going to use Dedenne Glyopod, I need some bulk. And then I just used one of the top Pokemon that can deal with the just sort of the main meta and has some bulk, and that would be Diggersby. So again, you can use you don't need to use Glyopod as a safe swap. I just think that it's going to come up pretty big as a safe swap in this meta. Fortress. A lot of people are very excited about this Pokemon. Now, there's been debates in the comments about what the right moveset to use is. In this analysis, I used the recommended PvPoke moveset of Rock Tomb and Earthquake. Now, the problem with Rock Tomb and Earthquake, for those of you who do not have the numbers in front of you, is that it takes, with Bug Bite, 17 turns to get to Rock Tomb and 22 to get to Earthquake, which means if you're running Bug Bite on Fortress with those two charge moves, it's going to take a while to get to the moves. Yes, these moves are fantastic. Rock Tomb did not get nerfed, so it's going to do good damage and lower your opponent's attack. Earthquake, a fantastic hard-hitting coverage move, but it takes a while to get to. So a lot of people are saying you need to run Sand Tomb with this. Now, Sand Tomb does a couple things for you. One is a terrible move in terms of damage, but it gives you two options here. One, it is a bait move. It is only 40 energy, so it takes only 14 and 13 turns to get to. 14 on the first, 13 on the second and third. So it's a quicker move to get to than the 17 to 22. So that's the first thing. So it's the bait move. So if you get to the Earthquake or you get to the Rock Tomb and you bait this move, that's great. But more importantly, it lowers your opponent's defense. And why that is very important is because Bug Bite got the buff on the damage, and it is already a pretty damage forward move. So Bug Bite with Stab on this Pokemon gets 4.8 damage per turn. So if you are just doing a ton of Bug Bite damage and then lower the opponent's defense, that is really going to add up on a Pokemon that has pretty good bulk behind it. So that's the sort of Fortress thoughts on the moveset, depending on which one you want to use. Again, it is focused primarily on Bug, but again, the Bug fast move, and it's a little slower, means you need to have some coverage for everything else. So I put in Jellicent as some of your covers to things that will resist the Bug type move, Ghost, and a few other Pokemon here, Fire, all those other Fighting, all those other Pokemon that will cause Fortress some problems. And then I need a safe swap, and I know Drapion got nerfed sort of, but Drapion's strength, yes, it was always nice when you got the crunch to lower the opponent's defense, but even without it, Drapion with the Poison Sting, Aqua Tail Crunch was always fantastic as just a safe swap Pokemon. And again, it doesn't look great in the Sims, but you don't care about the Sims in the even energy, even shield scenario. You care about it with the energy advantage, and Drapion's still going to be fantastic, even though its crunch chance of lowering the opponent's defense got nerfed. So next, Glygar. And again, I think Glygar is going to be very scary this season. I could see a lot of people using Glygar and kind of realizing how much of the meta it can take with its coverage. Again, for those of you who haven't played many seasons, Jumpluff as the main flyer in the meta is because this meta is desperate for flyers after the wing attack nerf, and having that bulk for starters, but having that duo typing with the grass flying really helps give it some coverage. And that was always the case with Glygar. With that ground flying, you really offset some of your weaknesses. You do add others and make ice double weak, but you do offset some weaknesses, and that dig gives you coverage for steel and rock, which would otherwise wall your Jumpluffs, right? So that is the strength of Glygar. It is back on the menu. Corsola and Primeape are the other two I put on the team. Again, if you're going to run all these Pokemon, I just think that if people are expecting a ton of fast move a ton of bug fast moves in this meta, you need to have some Pokemon that can deal with the things that resist those. So I put in Corsola and Primeape as two others here. Corsola is the bulk. If you're gonna, Gligar is actually like mid bulk, so it can definitely take some moves, but Primeape is not. So that's why the Primeape Corsola pairing is a pair that I used in the past. So it's more of a Primeape Corsola pairing, where Corsola is going to be weak to dark, and then Primeape will deal with the dark, with Gligar sort of as your safe swap. So even though I have Corsola as looking at them in the middle here, I think I would probably play it with a balanced team of Corsola, Primeape with Gligar as your safe swap. Okay, Samurott. So I start with Samurott, and as you can see, does okay. Again, it's just, I always take these Sims with a grain of salt because they're the even energy, even shield scenario. And same thing, like Marowak is the safe swap on this team, and you can see Marowak in the end column there with a lot of problems, but it's a 2 shield beast. I always say that, so you got to take it you got to think about how you're going to use the Pokemon as it's on the team. And for me, I think when I was putting this team together, I thought, okay, let's start with Samurott. Again, it's got that great new bug fast move, but it's a bug fast move, but it has Hydro Cannon. And we have been kind of, I was going to say missing a Hydro Cannon user, but I guess Blastoise was around last season. But I guess a Hydro Cannon user that can hit decently hard, because we had Swampert. I guess Greninja was here and there, but I guess with more bug, Greninja might not be around as much. So Samurott just as the pure water. Water always has great typing. Hydro Cannon is one of the best charge moves in the game, especially in damage per energy. Super fast to get to, hard hitting. So Samurott will have some play here. And then I put, it's going to be weak to, it only has 2 weaknesses, grass and electric. So I covered those grass and electric weaknesses with Jumpluff and Marowak. Again, just knowing how strong Jumpluff is, very bulky. And then knowing how strong Marowak is as a safe swap. Again, it used to be great as a safe swap, where even if you got against like a flyer, you can just throw the rock slide. But there wasn't a lot of flyers back in the day, right? There was just like Jumpluff and Mandibuzz and maybe like 1 or 2 others. Talonflame, which you'd hit double super effective with the rock slide. So it was kind of scary to bring Talonflame into Marowak. Here, as you can see, hard loss to Glyopod, because Glyopod is very spammy to those Aqua Jets and will resist your Mud Slaps as the bug. So, you know, I'm not sold on Marowak as a safe swap yet. We'll have to see how the meta plays out, even though I'm pretty sure I have it on this team again here. Yeah. Matang, Mandibuzz, and Marowak. So more just focus. Maybe we just leave Marowak on this for a second here. But let's look at Matang. And as you can see, in The Sims, it does not do fantastic. I think a lot of people are excited to use this Pokemon for a couple reasons. One, whenever you use like a second evolution Pokemon, it's kind of just like, I was going to say like spicy to a certain extent. So using a Shadow, I always said second evolution, but first evolution, second level, I always called it. So using a Pokemon that is not at its full evolution yet is always kind of fun. And it does have a nice Psyshock move with like 100, I'm just looking at the stats here, 100 damage as the Shadow with Stab here. So Psyshock, Fury Cutter combo on this Pokemon coming at speeds of 10 is fantastic. And where it really shines is its typing, right? Double resisting Poison and Psychic, and single resisting Grass, Dragon, Flying, Fairy, Ice, Normal, Rock, and Steel. Unfortunately, weak to 4 things: Dark, Fire, Ghost, and Ground. And the Psychic typing I do not like. Weak to Dark and Ghost. Maybe less Dark this season, but still going to be even more Ghost, because Ghost resists Bug. So I can see a really high helping of Ghost this season, which makes this Pokemon a little scary. And as you can see in The Sims, not fantastic. Again, this is going to be one of those, I can know how a lot of Pokemon are going to play based on just looking at sort of its stats and its typing and its having played some of these before. Like, I've played Glyopod a million times before, so I know how Glyopod plays. I know how strong it can be as a safe swap. I know how spammy it can be. So with a Fury Cutter, it makes sense that it's so much better. I've never ever played with Matang, so I have no idea how this thing plays. This is one of those, I don't even know if I have a Shadow one. This is one of those I'm just going to have to play out. But if you're going to be weak to those things that I mentioned, Ghost, Dark, and I mentioned a couple others, ground, right? Having a Dark, Flyer, and Mandibuzz, that gives you some coverage and gives you some bulk is fantastic. Again, I put Marowak as a safe swap, but we'll just ignore it for now. Yeah, so this is one of those I'm going to have to probably test out, because I honestly, I can't tell you, like, you should use it like this, because I've never used it before, but I have used Airquinid. And this thing back in the day, it's still using the same move, so I know exactly how it plays. It's extremely, extremely bulky, but the problem with it back in the day was if you didn't do great with the bug bite, like if it was a Pokemon that resisted bug, you were in trouble, because a lot of times the second move, the charge move, is Bug Buzz, which is another bug move. And then the other move that they use is like a Bubble Beam, which is like just a bait, nothing move. So if you get against Pokemon that just resist your bug type moves, you're in trouble. Now, it's got that bug water typing like Glyopod, so it's got that on its side already, and it's got an insane amount of bulk. This was a huge answer to what Pokemon there was a Pokemon back in the day. Man, there's been so many evolutions of this. there's a Pokemon back in the day that this was the ultimate answer to, and everyone used this for all of like 10 minutes before realizing that it's kind of slow, and a lot of things beat Bug back in the day, and Bug is not a good move, and yada yada yada. But now with the Bug Bite buffed, it should have more play. Again, you're gonna have problems with a few things. Anything that resists Bug, right, you're gonna have problems with. So put in Corsola as the ghost to deal with a lot of those. And then I know Togedemaru is going to be way better this season, but you can look at those look at those rankings and you'll say, are you sure? Yes, so Togedemaru will be better this season as an electric because, one, it's a steel electric, so steel is going to resist a lot of these bugs. Some of these buffed Pokemon are weak to electric. Glyopod, Jellicent's not buffed, but it's higher on the list, and Araquanid and Samurott, all these Pokemon are weak to electric, and you are just going to wild charge the crap out of these. But unlike Morpeko, which has a Psychic Fangs, which I think is the better second move, and changes form, so if electric is resisted, you can change form and spam the Aura Wheels. If you go against the ground, it is essentially a top left. If you get against Clodsire, as you can see with the hard losses here, it is a top left. So make sure that if you're going to use this Pokemon, you have at least two things that could deal with ground. A Bug that resists ground and a Ghost that has Ice Punch is something that can fit the bill there. I think I have a couple more teams here. Two more teams? Yeah, two more teams. Shadow Scizor. I don't know why I'm so excited to use this Pokemon, and I think it's because this is one of the Pokemon that I had so much fun using with, even with the current moveset. It is so glassy, but if you get that Bullet Punch on a Shadow Scizor in a good matchup, and you somehow get like the Night Slash boost as well, this thing is going to go wild. And to now just have Bullet Punch even harder hitting, like Bullet Punch is a Sucker Punch clone. So you have basically Sucker Punch on a Shadow Pokemon getting Stab behind it that has the potential to boost its attack. This thing can run through 3 Pokemon in the right conditions. So that's why I'm excited to use it. With all that said, very glassy. Gonna have some problems with a lot of Pokemon. So put in Lapras as a bulky sort of safe swap, which I think should be even... I think Lapras may be net stronger this season because of all the Bug will scare off the Dark, and the Dark double resisted the Psywave. So I think Lapras may have even more play this season. I think that is one that's probably going to maybe even move up a couple in the rankings when people realize how strong it is against this meta with the Psywave. And then I put in Runerigus. I was looking for a ground Pokemon, and they recommended it, and I'm just like, Runerigus is an interesting one because it has Shadow Claw, but it also has, I think, other fast moves. I forget what the recommended fast move is, but it's got nice fast moves. It's a ground type Pokemon, has ground coverage, has ghost coverage. So I think it's going to play very well in where I think this meta is going. And as you can see in the Sims here, how strong it could potentially be. So a couple Pokemon definitely interested in trying here in Runerigus and Scizor. And the last one here is is it Ninetails? Yeah, I did. So Ninetails got the Ember buff. So they buffed. There was debate between Fire Spin and Ember back in the day. A lot of people sided with Ember, and then Fire Spin got buffed a couple seasons ago now. So everyone went with Fire Spin. Now Ember got buffed, so Ember is the recommended moveset now. So Ember Ninetails, I think Fires are going to be very sneaky. Now there is huge problems, as you can see, huge losses against your water Pokemon, Jellicent, Samurott, Feraligatr, especially those Hydro. Oh yeah, jeez, did I totally forget about Feraligatr as a Hydro Cannon user? Jesus, holy smokes. My bad. So Hydro Cannon users, water users, and ground. Ground will probably one-shot the fire as well. And there's a ton of those. However, there is now more Bug, which is weak to fire. There's now more Steel, which is weak to fire. And there's still the main sort of Pokemon like Jumpluff, which are out there, which are weak to fire as well. So I think this thing's going to have play, but you 1,000,000% need to cover your ground and water weakness. And I did that with Jellicent and Credillia on this team. A lot of people in the in the comments yesterday said, you didn't talk about Credillia with acid. So yes, Credillia has acid. It does play a little bit different. A lot of other commenters responded that PVPOKE is just guessing the assumption on acid, because some of these in the write-up said specifically that it goes. I'll just give you an example. Some of these are like Bug Bite and Fury Cutter gave specific numbers. They said Fury Cutter Trainer Batters goes 2 to 3, and Bug Bite Trainer Battles goes from 3 to 4 power, right? So they give you specifics, whereas Acid, it just says energy generation increased. So PVPOKE needs to make some assumptions there. So they made some assumptions. The recommended moveset is Acid on this Pokemon. It will change how this Pokemon's played, because now you're getting to the move slower, whereas the strength of it back with Bullet Seed is not a hard-hitting move, but you get to the moves pretty fast, and one of those moves is Rock Tomb to lower your opponent's attack, which you can really just kind of leverage on that. So don't know how it's going to play. We'll have to just kind of wait and see, but that is just something that's on my mind. So again, week 1, I think it will just be testing out all these Pokemon, seeing how they feel. I don't even care if I see 3 anti-bug Pokemon on a team and I lose all 5 matchups in a set. I don't really care about that right now. I care about how do these Pokemon feel, and then in a couple weeks or when the Great League returns next time around, we'll figure out exactly how the meta is shaping up. If I had to guess, just going back to the top 20 here, my first guess is all these bugs, because of the comment that Nate mentioned that this thing is resisted by 7 typings. I think all these bug Pokemon will be used early, and people will be like, okay, it has some play, but I think they're overranked. So I can see Fortress, Glyopod, Gliggar, Samurott, Matang all going down in the rankings. So that is what I would expect. And when I say down, it doesn't mean like they're going to be like, oh, it's ranked 6, now it's going to go to rank like 40. It could be like it's ranked 6, it's now going to go to like 18. So I could see something like that. And then I can see some of these other, what are just general strong Pokemon coming back up, like just off this list, as you don't see, Feraligator's at 22. And Tingsong is at 28. And Gastron 33, Toxapex 35, Annihilate 36. So you have a lot of these Pokemon that were like top 20, 30 last season. I can see them kind of rising back up the rankings. And like I said, I think Lapras at 14 is probably going to jump into the top 10. I can see Lapras going up to the top 10. So I think that it'll be a slight shift of these rankings as the season goes on, with the meta Pokemon remaining meta, the bugs kind of going down, and some of the other old meta Pokemon going up. It does feel like this season does truly feel like the main meta is going to stay. Dark and Psychics probably will take a hit. Bugs will come up, but they're probably overranked. But there should be some staples like Glyopod is the bug, and Gliggar, even though it's not a bug, but it has Fury Cutter. I think those two are probably here to stay. Whether Fortress, Matang, and Samurott stay is TBD, right? Because you do have Shadow Feraligator, which also has Hydro Cannons coming at 10. That hits harder and gives you Ice Beam coverage for Flyers, and I guess Mega Horn covers Grass too. I guess Fury Cutter does cover Grass, but Ice Beam for like double super effective against Jumpluff. So I think there's going to be some reorg of these rankings as we move to the next weeks. So let me know in the comments below, what are you excited to play with? What is your thought on the meta? Where do you think it's going to go? What are you going to try? Love to hear your thoughts below. We will cover Sunshine Cup, even though I do not expect anyone to play it. Maybe not anyone, but I do not expect many people to play it. But we will cover it in case you do want to play it. So that is it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.